Okay, we're on air. So
All right.
right now, I'm gonna try to pop up your screen here so we can look at what's going on. Hold on, I can't get your screen to pop up. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right now. Okay, so I can see. Okay, so we can see your screen right now, Isaiah. So can you explain what you're seeing? Looks like an interesting sounding.
Yeah, this is a sounding for, I believe central or southern Oklahoma, and it's got a pretty good sounding. Let's see exactly where it's at. This is a map significant tornado perimeter. You can see right there, it's in south central Oklahoma, along the Red River, I think is what. The only bad thing about this particular sounding is the lack of directional shear, which would be good for a tornado. But I
Yeah.
still think that there might be a couple rotation signatures in this.
Mm-hmm. How are we doing on? Do you know how we're doing on, like, general storm relative felicity? How are we doing on that? Because I know that can be a limiting factor that could make or break this situation if it isn't precisely.
It's not overwhelming, but it's pretty good. It's sufficient.
Yeah, sufficient enough. And there's no capping, obviously. But of course we'll watch for a cap. That'll be something we definitely watch. I'm gonna quickly move it over to my screen. I have my screen on the Storm Prediction Center, and I'll briefly explain what's going on here. So I saw this post on Facebook of the National Weather Service in Wichita, and they included extremely strong wording on their on what will happen with this event. So I'll try to get that up in a second. But here's the 30% risk. Can you see it correctly? 30% risk. So there's that. Of course, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Norman, Wichita Falls, all in that. So the Storm Prediction Center's basic concern is would be like all hazards are expected. They haven't been precise of what kind of outbreak it will be, whether severe weather or, I mean, they do say severe weather outbreak, but they have not included tornado outbreak yet. So it does say there a sharp dry line will extend south. A sharp dry line will extend south through southwest and south central Kansas, through west Oklahoma and west central Texas. So there's our forcing right there. We've got all that stuff, all the triggering mechanism, everything we need for that.
I'm just drawing up a map very quickly. Hopefully I can get it in just a couple seconds.
Your screen's up, by the way. So basically what I'd be most concerned about is a violent long track tornado. There's many limiting factors yet, but I do think that there is a possibility for at least a couple tornadoes of EF4 strength potentially. I'm not going to push EF5. And you asked me the question last night of if I think whether or not there'll be any sort of PDS tornado watch. And for the time being, I said no. I'm going to go with yes now. I think there could very well be a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch out, just for the reason that the dry line in front of it is supportive of a couple of tornadoes of potentially EF4 strength. So it definitely will be an interesting day across portions of south central Oklahoma, or south central Kansas, central Oklahoma, and north central Texas. So my most concern is whether or not we can hold that tornado potential, but I do think it will be an interesting day, especially for large hail and tornadoes. Anything you want to add to that? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think it should be up by now. This
Yeah,
is
it is.
my map that I created.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that they issue a moderate risk, this will probably be the most likely placement
Is the
over
green
central
risk general or marginal?
marginal.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, our biggest tornado risk is especially going to be over. I'm going to say the highest Lissi amounts earlier in the GFS scans were over north central Oklahoma, but there could be a potential of a couple of tornadoes that do enter EF maybe 3 strength across portions of central Oklahoma. So I would definitely consider watching that area of central Oklahoma. But along the border, I think is our most prominent risk for any tornadic activity. Not sure how the dry line is going to set up the day of, but yeah, I'd say the most volatile risk for tornadoes will be across the border of North Oklahoma and South Central Kansas. So actually, since about what I just said, taking a look at what you have down up there, I'd shift the marginal just a little bit further to the north into portions of um, south southwestern Minnesota and southeastern South Dakota. Push the slight risk just a little bit more to the north and east, maybe across the Iowa, maybe portions of Illinois. That's where I live, so I don't try to push where outlooks are going to be across my area just so I look good. But I'd stretch out that enhanced risk and then stretch out that moderate risk just a little bit further into central Kansas. So that's where I think the prominent risk is going to be along the border.
I'm actually considering taking an enhanced risk all the way up into parts of northwestern Nebraska or northeastern Kansas or just north central Kansas, because there's been this constant area of high EHI and STP.
Yeah. Any idea what update 4KM will come out? This update?
No.
4KM should be out tomorrow, if I'm correct. We should be seeing stuff from 4KM tomorrow. My biggest concern is going to be the capping inversion that is persistent with most of these NAM scans. So if you take a look at NAM, I'm just going to share my screen here. Pop that up real quick. Hold on. I'll get that popped up here soon. Okay, so I have NAM up right now. If you take a look at the basic radar product for this area, I can take a look at when the most prominent risk times are, which would be hours 72 through 84, if you want my opinion. And through all of those scans, we never have a single cell that develops over any of the regions where the prominent risk is in. So whether or not it's going to be a potential for a bust because of the capping inversion, or the capping inversion can break the day of the event, is still questionable. I don't know what you think, but I don't see anything developing at all.
Well, I'm sure that there's going to be some developments later in the day. It might not show them now, but it might just hold off a little bit.
Yeah, and what I think is we definitely have a prominent risk area. The risk area is consistent. It's been consistent and will remain consistent, but it's just that capping inversion that's going to have to be watched very closely, because if it does not warm up to convective temperature, then the potential. Oh. Um, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, so, well, I think I shared my Facebook that entire time, but it's okay, it's cool. What are you looking at?
My my screen is the day fourth weight outlook. This red line, the darker red line, is the 30% hat or the 30% risk area, which stretches approximately from Wichita through Oklahoma City and Norman all the way down to near Dallas Fort Worth.
So my area is included in the day after Tuesday. It's looking sketchy in some areas, but I think we can hold the risk, whether it's going to be linear or supercellular is still to be determined, but I do think we can hold some supercellular things to go on as we head into that.
And for the record, this purple line is the day 5 outlook, 15% risk from Des Moines, Iowa, to Waterloo to near Ottawa down through southern Illinois and southeastern Missouri.
Yep. So what I'm going to watch for is that potentially in the northern regions of that outlook, if you could stay on that image there, from Macon, Missouri, south of Kirksville, right there, way over to potentially Springfield, right from Columbia, Missouri. You can see Columbia there. North of the Macon to Springfield line, and from I'm gonna say Moberly to Ames, Iowa, is going to be a potentially new dry line. So we could see a couple of developing supercellular mode storms that come along that, considering it's not associated with anything from the previous outlook from the previous day.
Well, it might just be because it might just be my opinion, but I think that the greatest risk is probably going to be south of I-72, which runs from Champaign to Springfield to near Quincy and Hannibal.
I think the greatest continuing risk will be south of I-72. I think the greatest new risk of supercells will be north of I-72. Because you can see that is not go along with the previous day outlook at all. It'll be more linear south of I-72. It'll be more supercellular north of I-72.
Well, actually, I would actually believe that let me go back to the GFS, and I'm going to look at the veering winds, because I actually think that the more supercell risk is going to be in parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana.
The risk wouldn't be that far north if there wasn't going to be a continuing. There's got to be some sort of development risk over portions of the tri-state area, that meaning Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri, because there's no way that those storms are going to continue to the north and still be linear to the south. So it's definitely got to be some kind of supercellular or new development that happens north of I-72. That's just what I think, because it's definitely going to have to. You've got to look at the day before that. You have to look at the day before that. I'm sorry, but you have to look at the day before that. Where the day before that, those supercells, I promise you, will turn into a line. Those will head south of I-72. We'll have a dry line from central Iowa, like I said, Ames, down to Macon, Missouri. That'll fire some new storms. Whether or not they'll turn severe or even strong is still questionable. But that's my opinion with that outlook for now.
I'm about to check out the GFS, and what you're saying makes no sense at all to me, but there might be a risk for supercells that far north.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Supercells farther north. I think the farther south.
Supercells the whole way, I think, probably.
I can't see that happening because we're going to need a dry line for that. Unless those storms from the other day are just going to survive for hundreds of thousands of miles.
There will be a dry line.
Well, is the dry line going to move north or south? Because I've never seen a dry line that long, if you ask me, and be successful at least.
I'll screen share here in a second and show you just how large the dry line is.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I'm just not convinced of how long that dry line's going to be. It's definitely a lot less capped on this outlook that we're looking at right now than it is the day before. A lot less capped. I promise you that.
The dry line actually looks more impressive south of Kansas City.
Hold on. Take a look at this. Are you on GFS?
I'll share it here in just a second.
There's definitely going to be some disagreements in the Storm Prediction Center. I know that. There's a Dial told me that there's a good deal of forecasters who think it should remain enhanced, and there's a good deal of forecasters who think that it should be upgraded to a moderate. So there's definitely going to be some tension in the Storm Prediction Center the day 3 outlook, which Dial's issuing the day 3, so it'll probably be in moderate risk, since he believes that it will be at least a moderate risk day. If you ask me, the dry line looks kind of sketchy, the outlook. It looks kind of sketchy, the outlook, after the outbreak. Because we don't have immediately sufficient dew point or relative humidity after the dry air mass.
Actually, that looks just fine, actually.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong hour. There is a good swath of high humidity across Illinois and Iowa and Missouri, though. So we definitely can't doubt severe weather for them, or for us, me, and them. You know, we definitely can't doubt severe weather for them.
Supercells don't look as possible there.
So maybe clusters?
Well, I mean, look at the dew point map.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's good when you get south of I-72. That's when you hit the 60-degree.
That's going to be, gee whiz. If we can get some of that sufficient dew point north, then maybe now I would be convinced. At least the 50s. At least if we can get some 50s up into that area. That would be promising for at least a strong supercell. But what I think is, you see that air mass of 65 degrees over Missouri and
To me, the greatest risk for Tuesday the 26th, obviously, is central and north central Texas. As you move on to Wednesday the 27th, I think anywhere from Lewis south through Illinois, Kentucky, Arkansas into Gulf Coast, pretty much.
okay. Hey, just curious, can we check tomorrow's outlook, day 2 outlook?
Let me. We haven't yet.
I know we haven't. I was wondering if we could. We got to keep our 2 viewers entertained here. We're kind of being boring, but hmm. Hey, what's going on with your camera?
You just turned it on.
What?
You turned it on.
I did?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, there's the day 2 outlook. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, there it is.
Slight risk from I-40 near Oklahoma City up through, let's see, that's Enid, Wichita, Salina, Topeka, almost Kansas City, Missouri, until you get up here into parts of northern Iowa and southern South Dakota.
My question is, will the marginal be expanded any east or west?
You can see that they looks like a pretty sharp dry line here in Kansas, Oklahoma. Not sure, but it does look pretty sharp.
Yeah, that'll probably be the case then. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. Yeah, I definitely see your outlook area there. Yeah, the greatest risk will be across Kansas, that area, all the way up. So, Skip Talbot has us on in the background while he's packing for tomorrow's chase. He says to keep up the good work. Okay, so we definitely do think there's going to be a dry line over portions of the dry line. There's definitely going to be a sharp dry line on Wednesday. So Wednesday's a concealed deal dry line. That will also be the case for tomorrow. Sharp dry line. If you're chasing for tomorrow, I would target, personally, I would target probably Kansas, just around the, right there, Nebraska, where Nebraska and Missouri meet. That's where I'd target, probably. So you can blast south or you can blast to the west, which will probably be blasting west because you see right there near the Auburn to Falls City area. Auburn to Kansas City, over to Council Grove to Lincoln, Nebraska, and to Nebraska City. That's where I'd target, right in that area. So once again, Nebraska City to Kansas City to Salina, up to Lincoln to Nebraska City and to Auburn. So that's a pretty good area right around there. Anything you want to add to that, Isaiah?
No, I'm probably gonna log off now.
Hold on just 1 second. Yeah, we're gonna end this off soon, but so we've went through all three outlooks. I think, of course, the day for strong tornadoes will be on Tuesday. This will be tomorrow. Will likely be a large hail and straight line wind event. Wednesday will be south of I-72. You said
Most likely.
south of I-72, most likely. Maybe a couple of clusters of storms north of that, and then the risk will shift wherever the SPC thinks it should shift after that. So definitely a nice week ahead of us. Great week for chasing. You know, it's going to be sufficient week in terms of ingredients and stuff. So it's definitely going to be a good week. I'm also, I think, going to do a secondary one of these live streams tonight with a different person. Maybe. I don't know yet. So I think we got everything accomplished, didn't we? Talked about what we needed to.
Yeah, I just want to mention though, these soundings are very, very, they make it look like if there are no tornadoes, then on Tuesday at least, there's going to be very large hail.
Very large hail. Yeah, it's gonna be very large hail, definitely. I can't stress that enough. Like, can you like spray something on your car that makes your windows not break? I mean, I wish they should create that.
All right, I'm gonna log off
Anyway,
now.
yeah, I am too. So thanks for watching and goodbye. And remember to watch my other one tonight with a different person.